What can, and hasn't,
guidelines.
yeah.
I don't know if you could, I don't know if it's a recommendation to say, make building and safety do its job.
Yeah. Also, is,
Well, but I like to, I don't know.
That's
it's
basically what
written
you're saying.
somewhere, because I thought I saw it where it defined what a mural is and what a mural isn't, because of the graffiti and of course the commercial.
Oh, well, there's the message and all that kind of thing. It's in the ordinance of what a mural is supposed to be. I sent that attachment to you guys, so, you know, hopefully. you can
Yeah, I
read
thought I read something about it, but is it going to be a
that.
part
It's
of?
vaguely defined, to be really honest with you, because it can't be treading on freedom of speech.
Yeah, that's the problem I have, because treading on speech.
Put an ACE ordinance in with it if you want to do that.
Yeah, you know what, there are
If you're
some,
worried about building safety, put an ACE ordinance in.
like a fee structure?
Remember the ACE ordinance that Carmen Titanish wanted for rewards, penalties?
We
Yeah,
can put a
that
fee,
might
we
be
can
a
put a,
way to
we can
go.
put a
At
fee
least a
structure.
consideration of
A fee structure.
an ACE ordinance to enforce,
Sure,
yeah.
they have a fee
That
structure,
enforces a lot.
but it's, I think it's $138 or something like that as a fine, so, you know, something that's a little tighter than
Go
that.
back to the one that the city attorney put together, look at that.
But I don't think that they had murals on there. There were signs, there were billboards, but I don't think they,
There was building wraps and everything else.
yeah, they had building wraps and all that kind of thing.
But that would be a structure that you could look at since it's already. ACE ordinance.
A fee structure. Because see, if you take ACE ordinance, that is an ordinance that failed. I think it'd be better to title it as a fee structure, because an ACE ordinance, that kind of went by the
I
wayside.
don't know if it failed, just didn't.
It never materialized,
It just didn't succeed.
I don't think it failed, I think it just fell pending, never got out of the debt.
maybe we can say something like a fee structure, similar to ACE ordinance, past ACE ordinance, suggestions or stipulations, something like that. Because if you base it on ACE ordinance never went through.
It's just a blueprint for them to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I wrote down was to have an ACE-style fee structure.
There you go.
for the enforcement.
Yeah, there you go, just so you don't say
Okay,
ACE ordinance,
okay.
because that didn't go through.
Do you have other,
Do we want to do anything about grandfathering in murals or no?
Do we have any to be grandfathered in?
Oh,
I don't think
hundreds
you
of
should.
thousands.
There shouldn't be any because they're prohibited currently.
Yeah, exactly, so, but I
Yeah,
haven't seen
but
any.
as the ordinance is written, any mural that's been before, no matter where it is grandfathered in. But that's a whole, okay.
All I'm saying is, if there's none right now because they're prohibited, how can somebody go and put one up and then say, well, I was grandfathered in?
Well, they can, whatever. Okay, let's just, you know, what, grandfathering, I think is gonna be a little bit of a nightmare, so I'll just rescind that one. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for the speaker? Okay. Public comment? I may not expressly call out public comment here because we're somewhat informal, so feel free to
No
speak up
worries.
if you
No worries,
if you have
Jerry.
any interest.
Call the vote.
Okay, so
No,
I need
let's have the motion.
I need a motion.
Okay, the motion would be expand, wholeheartedly support version B prohibitions on single-family homes. Expand that prohibition.
To include.
To include.
Support version B prohibition on single-family homes and expand to expand prohibition
Yeah, right.
to include multifamily residential.
Right.
Okay? And,
That means, okay, but we have to be clear on that, that means anything residential, which, you know, and it's not only, all R zones, how about that? All zones
Why don't
designate,
you just say single family?
because it's
well,
single,
you can have residential uses on commercial property.
Because we.
So
But
I
all
don't
zones-
think you want to go R zone, I think you want to talk about residential uses. Because you can have a residential use in a commercial lot.
Right, but that's different.
So I wouldn't
But
say
it's
that.
not, but see, the lot's not
Wouldn't
zoned
say
R, the lot is zoned C, but I'm just saying, anything that's zoned R, just
Well,
R.
Well, right, but then if you had, say, for instance, the multifamily they were gonna put, they're putting at 6, they, what did they end up zoning that to? Wasn't it C2 or C?
No.
Or did they get an R3?
I would think that they get RAS or something,
Oh,
is
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
RAS?
yeah. But he had commented that they really didn't need to change the zoning. They could have left it C2 and they could have put the building on there. We wouldn't want to say prohibited any R zones, because then you could put a mural on that building because it's in a C zone.
Okay.
You want to talk about the use. You don't want murals on residential uses,
Residential uses, okay.
regardless of what the
Okay,
zoning.
maybe that would be
Yes.
all encompassing, okay.
Okay, so prohibition of single-family homes, expand prohibition to include all residential uses. Okay. And the next one was apply boundaries for opt-in by neighborhood council.
Okay, yeah, let's see, opt-in, let's see. Suggested opt-in process to align by neighborhood council boundaries? How's the verbiage on that?
Which one, neighbor council?
Opt-in process to align on neighborhood council boundaries.
There you go.
More boundaries and approval.
Okay, we rewrite that
I
one.
don't think you need that.
Opt-in process
Because they're defining what the
to align on NC boundaries. Okay, and then you mentioned anti-graffiti.
Okay, wait, but,
Oh,
okay, opt-in process to align by NC boundaries. Now, let's clarify what we want the neighborhood councils to do. Because, you know, right now, neighborhood councils, neighborhood organizations, opinions are left completely out of it. They do not want opinions from any neighborhood groups, neighborhood organizations, nothing. They don't want to hear from you. So we need to make sure that there's a mechanism of approval or advisory or something.
So that's the opt-in process.
Well, when you say the opt-in process shall be made along neighborhood council boundaries,
Based on what criteria? By
That
That
neighborhood?
doesn't mean they'll give us
the
input.
neighborhood council has a criteria.
Criteria, yeah.
No.
We have a mechanism already for saying yay or nay. If someone comes and says, I want to put this on the agenda, and I want to opt in for murals, then you put it on the agenda, all right? And then you have perhaps, it perhaps goes to planning and land use for a committee, but that's the process. I mean, it's already defined.
What if we say opt-in process to align by NC boundaries and be subject to approval
Right.
by,
That's
Okay, that's what I'm
By
getting at,
neighborhood
is,
council.
you know, yeah, we can make the recommendation, but the approval based on what?
That's
The
fine,
board?
subject to approval of the governing, of the neighborhood council board. Keep it simple.
Yeah,
Not
don't
fuss up with a lot of
convolute it.
language.
okay,
Okay,
anti-graffiti coding.
The reason to take that out would be because that opt-in process may change. You may want to come up with a recommendation, you may want to go back to city council for them to make the final decision on it.
they're gonna have to.
I would like I think just the opt-in process, and then, well, either way is fine.
Okay, well, we're stating the motion.
Okay, but
so
who's gonna make, okay, which
Let's-
body in city hall is gonna make that determination?
Well, look,
Farm,
if you
City Hall?
say with approval of the neighborhood council, then again,
Mhm.
you know, we've been having this discussion since 2001, when the first neighborhood councils were formed, so now we're going on 13 years, is, you know, what is the authority
I know.
of the neighborhood councils? This is another opportunity to give the neighborhood councils an actual say in what's gonna go on in the neighborhood and a mechanism for doing it.
Yeah, because you're taking it a step up, you're not, no longer advisory, you're now approving.
That's correct. And
Right.
That's the direction neighborhood councils need to be moving in, is away from the advisory
Mhm.
and into the authority when the opportunity presents itself. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to, you know, put a little wedge in.
Okay. And so I'd like to get a read of the motion so we can get it on the floor. Next item was anti-graffiti coding applied to murals.
let's see, all murals shall be, let's see, how did that read come out?
Anti-graffiti coating shall be applied
To all murals,
See why I was against writing this while it was
I
going
understand
on?
that, Jerry.
yeah, it's hard.
Okay. Next one was add an A-style fee structure to aid enforcement.
Perfect.
Did I capture that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, let me read this back. We'll put it on the floor. So we support version B, or we support the version B prohibition on single-family homes and expand the prohibition to include all residential uses. I'll be a little out of order here. Anti-graffiti coating shall be applied to all murals. Add an A-style fee structure to aid enforcement. Opt-in process to align by neighborhood council boundaries and be subject to approval by the subject neighborhood council. Okay? Do I have the motion?
Motion.
By Marie.
Okay.
Maria,
Yeah, you're gonna offer?
she gets the,
Yeah.
I move that you approve the following recommendations. of
no,
all-
that can't be the motion. The motion was what I just stated.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
So moved.
So moved. Okay.
Second.
Maria,
All right.
okay.
Got
And
my
seconded by
pen.
Eric, thank you.
Yeah.
Any
Just
further
so-
discussion?
Her head is
Seeing
just
none, I'll take
working
a
over.
vote. I called for that earlier. Any, is there any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Anyone opposed? Abstentions? That's unanimous. Thank you, Maria, for your
Thank you.
constant
Hard
vigilance.
work.
A lot of work.
That was a killer.
Okay. On to reports and updates. Do we have anything new on the community plan update, specific plan?
The community plan, no, not specifically, but I think planning is still working on getting back to our responses, however long that will take, and after that, a hearing. The specific plan, remember, we passed those specific plan prohibitions, and the board adopted that back in 2008. But for some reason, that never got communicated to planning, or,
It was sent in a letter to planning.
I know, but they never took
It's gotta be in the
action.
file.
That took
Yeah.
action, and I think maybe we could probably reiterate that again. I think there might be a tendency right now to maybe be a little more open to
Right.
that.
And we already approved a motion to reiterate our prior
Okay, but,
position.
okay,
And that letter was sent again to Anna Vidal,
okay.
at that time, which is, what, 4 or 5 months ago?
Okay. Yeah, because see, since that time, we got the.
We can send it again, I mean, we basically got the
Yeah,
whole
because see,
packet.
since that time, we got the thrift store in there, we got the recycling centers in there.
We previously approved in the discussion about that meeting we had a few months ago at CD12.
To
There was
include
the-
the area.
Yeah,
So there's some new things, so can we reiterate all those things and put them together in one, or should we just send those again, or how should we do this?
we've
Because
already
thought we
made
already did
motions
it.
on it, we've already
No,
done it, so we just
yeah.
need to.
But they've been
we just need to
missing.
assemble
Why should
that
we
into a
keep
packet
doing the
and-
same thing
packet
over
and
and
send it to Mitch. So that just needs to be assembled and resent.
did it get sent to Ann, or did it get sent to Mitch?
I sent it to, pretty sure it was Anna originally, this goes back like 6 years ago.
Well, I think it needs to be
But-
sent to CD12.
But, yeah, I think we
Okay,
need to
that's,
send, we need
okay,
to
that's
send
what,
that
yeah, I think we need to
information
kind of
CD12.
re-emphasize
Yeah, well,
that.
it's, yeah, we passed it before, so
Yeah.
we can send that to him.
Okay.
Anything else on community plan? Community care facilities ordinance, anything new?
There's an ad hoc community care facilities committee, and I'm not sure exactly when that's gonna be starting. I'm not sure if you all read the reading about Newport Beach. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals just came out with a ruling last Friday, 19th of September, that they found that the Newport Beach ordinance and its implementation is discriminatory. And Newport Beach residents were asking for it, because they wanted to regulate sober living homes, but at the same time, they wanted to do their multi-rentals for vacation rentals, and you can't have it both ways. So that they were determined to be discriminatory.
Okay.
That's it.
Zoning code revisions.
Zoning code revisions, all of Los
Before
Angeles.
you go on, can
Yeah.
I make a comment on the community care facilities? Question is, I'm not sure what the position, if there is a position that the council has adopted on the community care facilities, if you could answer that for me first.
I have to reach it.
You
Do you
have to
remember,
go
do you remember what our, I don't remember the exact wording on it. but
Well, I guess it's,
we-
were
yeah, we have
you
taken
in
a
support
position.
of or opposed to?
We were, well, it depends which version, there were several.
Yeah, I
versions
know,
of the
there's
community
several,
care
I just,
versions.
in general, is it
And we
opposed or in favor?
We were in favor of an ordinance that provided certain rules and regulations around where community care facility or community care facilities could be placed and how they were run.
Mhm.
So I don't remember the particulars of the ordinance at the time. I know it went in and a version came out that we were in support of, and then it went back into planning and got rewritten, and then we weren't in support of it, and then the city attorney took it and went through it again, we supported it again.
Oh, it's just
And
back
it was
and
just,
forth.
we were just
Yeah,
back
it
and
has
forth.
been
with it.
going-
So it's still not something that's been passed yet?
No,
Still
Okay.
pending.
Yeah,
still pending.
And the board, and the council hasn't taken official position because we don't really know where it stands?
we took positions on several different versions. I don't know
Well,
where's
I-
the ordinance at right
I
now?
think
Well,
it's
it's in
bouncing
committee.
around in committee.
It's in
It's
committee.
going back to this ad
Reports.
hoc committee at this point, gonna be completely reworked.
Okay, so I guess the answer is we don't have a position.
It's still
currently
changing.
Because it's not there to
Yeah,
have a
really.
position on.
Okay, thank you.
Zoning code revision.
The zoning code is in dire need of revision, but we need to make sure that the zoning code is done in a proper manner, so. That'll be an interesting process. It's gonna be taking 5 years. They hired an outside consultant again. Our city likes to hire outside consultants for
They
some
do,
reason.
they like to spend money.
And I'd like to find out how much they spent on this, that'd be a really good thing to find out, because you know what, our city is very talented, we got some talented people in planning, and I can't see why planning could not do this revision. Why do we have to go to an outside consultant? But anyway, so that's on the table.
San Antonio that they did last.
Yeah, San
District in San
Antonio and 3 other cities, I think somebody in Virginia, they did 3 other cities that were rather smaller.
Which will never work here.
So. that's
Okay, but
out-
anyway,
that's
so-
out with the consultant.
Yeah, okay. So onwards, we'd have to make a decision on that. City
City
plan,
planning and realignment.
okay, I don't know.
Department realignment.
Okay, I don't know if you all know, but that went to committee again, because there were a lot of concerns. I don't think so much in this area, but across the city, there were a lot of concerns about realigning planning and building and safety. Frankly, I'm probably the only person in this community that has real serious concerns about that alignment. I think merging 2 buildings, 2 departments, or actually more departments under one head, kind of neutralizes the function, could be incestuous, a body-making, a policy-making body, and an enforcement-making body could be really a little bit too closely connected. I like to see how consolidations have worked in other cities. Were at one time our departments split? When did they merge together? Is this really cost effective? Does this save the person money? And when I was talking to Matrix consulting firm, I asked him one simple question. You're very heavy weighted on the planning end of this. You're talking about the smooth process with permits. I said, what about the customer from the building and safety enforcement end of it? What is it for us in this merge, and how will it help us? And he says, well, we haven't done much on that part. We're not really gonna shore up all the building safety personnel that have been laid off. About 50% of them have been. And so his last words to me were, well, you better go lobby City Hall and all your council members to really get effective enforcement. So there's a lot of issues with this merge that I think, just needs to be tossed around, and we need to kind of let that marinate in our heads and see what that's all about, because I've got serious concerns.
Wasn't there a motion in council
To hold it
for
off.
this for a report?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be back in 45 or 60
Yeah,
days?
yeah,
And
90 days.
I talked to Tanya 2 days ago, about the same subject, and they didn't have they said it was still in committee or
Yeah,
something like that.
45 days to 60 days should
Yeah.
be 90 to 120 days.
Exactly.
There's a monkey survey, I think, that's been going around. I don't know if you've all gotten it about this issue.
Well, I mean, I'm somewhat ambivalent about it, although my feeling right now is because of the dysfunction of building and safety.
Building and safety.
Yeah.
It
It's
it
abysmal.
probably could use a shakeup.
Yeah.
Although I will say, Jerry, did you get my phone call this afternoon?
Yeah.
They did respond to that particular problem. Just for everybody's edification, we had a complaint from a stakeholder who lives on Tulsa Street over near Balboa, just east of Balboa, west of Balboa. And the complaint was that there's a neighbor who had inoperable vehicles in the driveway and even parked in the yard, which he has had for quite a while. And Jerry responded, I thought, in a very responsible manner, and I also responded telling her I was going to forward the complaint to CD12 and ask them to get involved, which I did. Now, I don't know whether it was CD12 that lit a fire or just building safety being unusually efficient.
Well, I don't think that it was at least 30 days before
Anybody respond?
anything came out.
Yeah,
so
well, I drove by
that's
today on my
typically
way
what
down to Fire Station 87 for a meeting,
Just-
and that whole yard had been cleaned up. All the vehicles have been taken away. There was still crap in the backyard.
You're looking at the same place I was,
Fence.
because when I drove by there, the vehicles were still in the yard.
And as of 4 o'clock this afternoon, they were gone.
I made a complaint also about my neighbor parking in the front yard and working on cars, and the fact that by parking in the front yard, which is illegal anyway, they had trumped down all of the vegetation, and now it's nothing but powdered dirt. And when it rains, first thing it does, run down the gutter and in front of my house. And that's the oil and all the parsonages and everything else. And from what I understand, they told me that they already did, but they had reported to, because it's a duplex, they had reported to housing. Housing, they said it had already come out, and they were waiting for the report. So I had a similar complaint as the.
Yeah, this was pretty egregious. I mean, this driveway had a very large boat on a trailer, and at least 2 or 3 vehicles in the driveway.
Yeah.
And these were old, supposedly restorable vehicles, but in obviously non-operable shape.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how long they've been there. I recall discussing one of these vehicles with Jim Summers when he was still president of the council, so that's at least
4 years ago.
2008 or 2009.
2008, yeah.
We were discussing this, and I know that there had been a complaint made at that time. It was just the fact that it was an old Woody station wagon. We were both commenting on, boy, wouldn't it be nice to restore that vehicle? But since then, they've added another vehicle, which they had parked in the yard. So it's not a new problem that just cropped up. And I believe Jerry, when he researched it, they'd already had one citation back in 2009.
You see, that was the complaint that I made, that they weren't being responsive, either building or safety or housing. You make a complaint, I said they're not very responsive to stakeholders' complaints. I said because they just go on and on and on and on.
I think maybe that's what, maybe the merge, because, there's been so many complaints about building and safety. It's such a corrupt department. I think we, here in this, CD12, we work really hard and close with all of those inspectors from building and safety, and CD12, maybe that will help to kind of spur them to do their jobs. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I'm just saying in this case, it actually works.
Yeah.
Picking up on Eric's comment of going on and on and on and on, do we have any closing remarks?
Yes. With regard to the building and safety realignment, I've known about this for about 3.5 months now. There's a stakeholder in our neighborhood that actually works for the Code Enforcement Department of Building and Safety. And as we discussed this matter a few months ago, his concern was that it's going to seriously eliminate the checks and balances that are in place by having the departments separate. Now, I know that that's a problem in terms of people getting their permits through an efficient manner, and that's why they're trying to align it. But the hope is that with the Recode LA and the digitalization of the whole process, that the merging of the 2 offices becomes a part of that whole Recode LA system anyway. It's
But I
my
think
2
that-
cents.
Yeah, but I think honestly, planning could basically be smoothed over. The permit process is ludicrous, but
Again, there is a potential for a big problem if they
There's no
merge the
checks and
two.
balances.
It
I
makes
agree.
sense to separate the enforcement arm from the.
Enforcement from a policy
Getting
making.
getting the
problem
permit
is-
and planning and all that together is great, but the, like, as you said,
But
as you
like
pointed out,
the code enforcement
enforcement is-
departments have been cut back, their budgets have been cut back and they don't have nearly as many. It's one thing when you set up this thing and you're making money and the city is giving out all these permits and everything, that's how they're making their money. Code enforcement seems like it's the poor stepchild.
Code enforcement, if it's done right and if they're ethical, could make money. There's a fee structure to code
Yeah,
enforcement.
there is.
And it could be a money
But
maker
they
if
have
it's
not
not
paid,
onerous.
they have not paid any attention to it. They're looking at gimme, 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 and the other is just by the wayside. Anyway,
Great, do I have a motion to adjourn?
post a second.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know who made that. Dave made it.
You
I
did.
did, John second.
John seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Sure.
You'll have to take that one.
Yeah, well, I think I'll leave that one, but I'll take it anyway, just in case I lose one.
Thank you.
Hey, John.
Mr. Bouvet, a haircut. Hey.
Don't wanna run up with that white purse of yours.
I know.